Hi guys, and welcome to my solo Barbarian Greater Rift guide for Diablo 3 Season 4, patch 2.3. And in this video I'll be talking about a whirlwind based build that's kind of similar to what I was using in Season 3, though thanks to Kanai's cube it's a lot more powerful and can push from 60 plus. And I think people are getting high 60 clears on the leaderboards using this very build. So essentially it uses 6-piece Immortal Kings and 2-piece Wastes, and I'll be talking about the gear you want, the general gameplay, and how to set up your Paragon in this video. So for starters, there are a few pieces of gear that you absolutely need. This build can be used with suboptimal gear at lower levels, but it really takes off once you have the perfect setup and the right set items. So first of all, you want the Immortal King's weapon. It's pretty much set in stone. And you want the Wrath of the Waste shoulders. And then also the Immortal King's belt, just because Waste doesn't have a belt. And then for the remaining 5 slots, gloves, head, chest, legs, and boots, you want 1 piece of Waste and 4 pieces of IK, depending on which one is best from your Waste set. So obviously you want to prioritize ancient items and items with good rolls there. And then you want Focus Restraint as your set rings, which gives you a very nice damage bonus. You're going to want the Strong Arm Bracers, which also give you a nice up to 30% damage bonus. And then for your necklace, I would say either this Eye of It Lich, which reduces damage from ranged attacks / various affixes, or a Hellfire Amulet with a good either offensive or defensive passive, which we'll talk about later. So looking at stats real quick, on your weapon you're going to want to have percent damage, and the damage roll going as high as you possibly can, strength and vitality, and optionally life per hit instead of vitality. Though generally I recommend vitality because of the way that your healing will work, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So that's going to be your weapon. Your rings, you want crit chance and crit damage, strength, possibly area damage, and secondary resist if you can get it. This one doesn't have a secondary resist, but it is what it is. I still got pretty lucky with the other rolls. Gloves, I generally recommend crit chance, crit damage, strength, vitality, though this is another piece where you can go for area damage. Just experiment a bit based on how your particular gear is working out for you. Shoulders, you want strength, vitality, resist all, and rend. And as you can see here, I haven't even gotten the mats for rerolling to perfect 15%, but it's still been working out for me. Helm, you're going to want strength, vitality, and crit chance, and also a secondary resist if you can get it. Chest, strength, vitality, or strength and reduced damage from elites. And then rend percentage. On your secondaries, you definitely want resist, as well as if you can get reduced damage from melee or range, that would be perfect. Belt is really defensive, so strength, vitality, resist all, and life per fury. The one I have here is pretty good. And on your legs, you want strength, vitality, resist all, and life per kill if you can get it. So this wouldn't be an optimal pair, but that's what I'm working with at the moment. Boots, strength, vitality, resist all. The last stat can be life per second or movement speed, I believe. So whichever one you get. If you get movement speed, then you can put more points into strength, from your Paragon. Necklace, you're going to want physical skill damage, crit chance, and crit damage. Again, secondary resist is awesome to have. So this necklace here would be pretty good. And of course you want sockets. And bracers, similarly, physical damage, crit chance, strength, vitality. You want the secondary resist, and you want the affix to go as high as you can. So 30% here would be the maximum, so this is a pretty decent pair. The only upgrade would really be one with 6% crit or an ancient item. And then for your other set ring, again, crit chance, crit damage, secondary resist, strength, or possibly area damage. So that's basically your gear. For higher pushes, you definitely want to go for diamonds for resist all, and then a vitality gem in your helm. Now looking at Paragon, I currently go with max strength once your movement speed is capped. It is also feasible to add a little bit of max fury just in case the density isn't that great on a particular map. Offense, you're going to want crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, then CDR. Defense, you're going to want resist all, life, then armor, and then life regen. And utility, I max area damage, life on hit, then resource. And with how easy it is to get Paragon this season, you guys will most likely be able to get all three of one stat pretty quickly, so definitely aim for that if you want to do high rift pushes. Now, as far as cubed items go, these are also pretty much required. Furnace for elite damage, Lamentation for double rend, and Unity for damage reduction. And this goes without saying, I think, at this point, but on your Templar you also want the Unity. Running the S of Johann, which is really nice because your Templar will basically stack a bunch of enemies on top of each other for you, and this procs fairly often, so that's nice. And then I'm using Freeze of Deflection, which sometimes stuns random enemies, which is kind of nice. And I got an Ancient Doombringer here with physical damage just to give my Templar a little bit more DPS. Finally, of course, you want the Follower Cannot Die relic. Can't use Unity without that. For skills, I go Heal, Loyalty here for life per second, Charge to occasionally stun enemies and proc your strong arms. And then Guardian is a nice heal here, which can really help out sometimes if you don't have too much density for self-healing. You don't really need the resource generation in this particular build, but if you change things up, this might be something to go for as well. So now let's look at the skills. You need Whirlwind Blood Funnel. This is the core ability of this build. And you need Rend Bloodbath. So you get the physical rune there, and this causes any enemy killed while bleeding to essentially reapply Rend for additional damage on every enemy nearby, and this really stacks up nicely, so it's totally worth going for. Then you're going to want Warcry Veteran's Warning for some nice armor and dodge chance. You can potentially also go for Impunity for all resist, depending on how high your physical resistance is and how good your gear is, etc. So for your other skills, you need a Fury Generator. I go with Furious Charge because it's number one, it procs your strong arms, and number two, it's a great way to get around the map quickly. The Merciless Assault rune will reset the cooldown on this if you hit enough enemies. I think you need to hit basically 4 or 5 to reset the cooldown on this, depending on how high your Paragon is. And then the other two skills are Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients. Now in my build, I go for Striding Giant on Wrath of the Berserker, which is your 50% damage reduction. Generally speaking, Insanity is your go-to here for the 50% increased damage, but that would require you to go with Call of the Ancients together as one for 50% of the damage you take to go to the Ancients, and I found that your Ancients just fall over most of the time. So you can flip these two if you want. It's gonna make the gameplay a little bit more difficult, and you're gonna need pretty good density to generate Fury with your charge, because that's gonna be your only source of Fury. Whereas the way I have it set up here with Ancient's Fury and then the 50% reduction from Wrath of the Berserker is this is basically giving me 4 Fury every time an Ancient hits an enemy, which is all the time, so I never have Fury issues. And since the Immortal King set will reduce the cooldown of Wrath and Ancients by 3 seconds for every 10 Fury you spend, as long as you have a lot of fury, you can just use rend, keep spamming that, and you'll easily be able to reset Wrath of the Berserker without having to rely on Boon of Bolkathos. So in my particular setup, I forego the 50% damage increase here, but I do get to take basically full-on offensive passives, which I think really makes up for it. So as far as passives go, Ruthless is absolutely critical to deal additional damage to enemies below 30% health. Nerves of Steel will basically let you survive one killing blow, so this is also very crucial at high levels, just in case you accidentally get clipped by an explosion, or accidentally run into something you shouldn't have, or just get hit really hard by a bunch of mobs. So this is a nice way to stay alive and keep all your stacks high and all that. The other two I'm running right now are Rampage and Brawler for a strength increase and a damage increase. If you have really good density, you could also use Berserker Rage potentially. It just depends on your playstyle and how good you are with charging, I guess, to keep you fury high. So either or there. I mean, if you get a boss with a bunch of adds, Brawler will be procced anyway, so that's why I'm using that right now, but this is subject to change. Now, in my first few clears using this build, I did use Bloodthirst for additional healing, but I found that I'm pretty much okay with my current gear to not use this. But if you do find yourself to be dying easily, even in dense packs, then go for Bloodthirst. And do remember that Rend spends Fury rather, so this will act as a heal, which is nice. And yeah, as a reminder, you want Life per Fury in your belt just to give you that extra healing. And then on your weapon, instead of Vitality, either Life per Hit or Life per Fury, depending on what you can roll in there. So that is basically it as far as abilities go. Now let's just take a quick look at gemming. You want Bane of the Stricken. This is absolutely crucial, and this pretty much restricts this build to being mainly good for seasonal rifts. What this gem does is it increases the damage enemies take every time you hit them. I think there's a 3-second internal cooldown. But what this means is that the rift guarding at the end, and also strong elite packs, are gonna die eventually just because your damage goes through the roof the longer you fight them. So this is very nice, and if you could, the higher you rank this up, the quicker it scales, and then it just really takes off. So this is a very, very powerful gem. The other one you want is Taeguk, which gives you increased damage and increased armor for every stack, and you want to keep this up full time. So refresh it by casting Whirlwind, when you're moving between packs, just to make sure it doesn't fall off, because it is a very nice both defensive and offensive boost. Your final gem is going to be Pain Enhancer. The first time I used this build, I actually didn't use Pain Enhancer, but I think for higher rifts it's kind of critical. And what this gem does is you get a 3000+% weapon damage dot on enemies, which is nice. But more importantly, you get increased attack speed for every enemy nearby, and the increased attack speed will speed up your whirlwind, which speeds up your healing. So if you're in a very dense group of mobs, this will essentially guarantee that you don't die, which is why I recommend this gem. You could also use Bane of the Trapped, I guess, for lower rifts, or if you're not dying. I guess that's just going to depend on where you are personally. Now, so the last thing we have to talk about is the gameplay, and I'll show you a rift in a moment. So for this build, you basically want to, like I said, maintain your Taeguk stacks, and since you have Lamentation from your cube, you can stack Rend twice on enemies. So what you do is you charge into a pack, you hit Rend twice, and then you move to a different pack or a different part of a pack, and then hit Rend twice again. And you want to make sure that you use charge on cooldown, because it procs your focus restraint 50% bonus. And if you're not charging and not applying Rend, then you're whirlwinding for healing, and also a little bit of added damage Whirlwind will also proc your Bane of the Stricken, so just, you know, keep spinning the whole time. It's very similar to the Dust Devils build, except it totally does more damage. It's just crazy how much damage this thing does with rend, because you get not only the furnace from the cube and your physical damage boost and your rend percentages, but you get the 2-piece wastes bonus, which increases the damage of rend by 500% and increases the duration. So it's just off the charts once you get those 2 stacks going. You don't have to refresh it, you know, more than once every 15 seconds, but because casting rend will lower the cooldown on Wrath, you should try to be moving between packs or just spamming it as a heal. I will say that I've only used this build, I'd probably say like 5 or 6 times in Higher Greater Rift so far, and I've managed a 63 clear pretty easily. Now granted, my gear is pretty good, you know, I have mostly ancient pieces at this point. Not perfect stats, not perfect rolls, but it is a very powerful build. And, you know, once you have this gear, you'll probably be able to start around 60 and get your seasonal achievement, and then, you know, go on from there. So it is going to take a little bit of practice. You got to get used to the playstyle, and you know, just see how high you can go, and make sure that you maintain all your buffs at all times, etc. And eventually, you know, if you feel that damage is the limiting factor, maybe do consider swapping a Striding Giant for Insanity and see how that works out. But that variant is going to require very good density in the Rift, and also extremely careful gameplay to work. So I hope you guys found this guide helpful. I will be posting updates if there's anything else I discover along the way, and I'll be trying to push for an even better clear than this. This one was just, you know, kind of lucky, but like I said, it is a powerful build, and good luck with your Greater Rift clearing, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again later.
Charging.